This video is intended to be an orientation of how to use the G-TEC equipment harness with a modern military parachute system. The harness is intended to be an interface between your cargo, your rucksack, and your parachute system. And it's important that your system has the lower attachment point. It's meant to be used with a parachute system that has this. It could be used with a low mount or a high mount attachment point as well. Before we actually look at the equipment harness, we're going to look at three criteria that we use to build proper cargo or proper equipment to carry with us. The first criteria that we're working with is that the equipment, the cargo has to have a high density. When we talk about density of our cargo, a normal rucksack will weigh anywhere from 40 to 80 pounds. We'll take a closer look at the sizes and shapes of this later. But it's important that we don't build a light cargo. A large cargo that is very light is just going to create a wing for us up front. It's going to be very difficult to free fall with. A small rucksack can be very light. It doesn't matter, and that's why we talk about density rather than weight of a rucksack. The second criteria we use is symmetry. The rucksack that we build has to be symmetrical. Symmetry means that the rucksack has to be symmetrical in a line or on the spine of the jumper. Two aspects of symmetry: the shape as well as where the weight is placed in your cargo has to be symmetrical in the spine of the jumper. So this is symmetrical rucksacks. Naturally, a square rucksack is pretty common. Maybe a pelican case, super simple. This is not a symmetrical rucksack. See if I can do that a little bit more descriptive. Neither is this a symmetrical rucksack. So looking at symmetrical shapes here, this is a good shape. Here, this is symmetrical shape. This is not. Well, neither is that. Take a deeper look at it here at symmetry, and imagine I have the same shape rucksack, but my weight is placed off to the side in the rucksack. That is not a good, that is not a symmetrical rucksack, but symmetrical from the weight placement aspect. The weight can be placed very low or very high. That doesn't matter because it's still symmetrical in the spine of the jumper. The third criteria we look at is bluntness. Our cargo that we build has to be blunt on the surface that hits the relative wind. Anything that's beyond blunt is going to have an aerodynamical property. And if we build an aerodynamical property in our cargo, we're going to learn how to fly, which is, we don't have time for that. So looking at rucksacks from the side view now, if I have just a standard rucksack, and the relative wind is going to hit it in this way, it has to be blunt, like so. A round rucksack, more modern rucksacks are usually built very round, and that's not a very blunt piece of equipment. However, they usually also come with pretty big side pockets. If you add the side pockets, the rucksack's going to be blunt enough. Looking at an Alice pack, kind of looks like this, with three big pockets on it. This is not a blunt rucksack, but quite simply we can just empty this center pocket, and that makes the rucksack blunt. One detail on bluntness that people often do a mistake is when we jump with a pelican case. Pelican case, this is a small one, but a pelican case, intuitively we often want to put the pelican case in this way on the cargo. What happens is it actually has slanted sides, and that creates an aerodynamical property. So the correct way to jump a pelican case is to take the broad side and then at that face the relative wind. that makes a pelican case blunt. Once we've built our cargo, it's time to put the equipment harness on. So I'm going to open up the equipment harness right here and show you some parts of it that we're going to use as landmarks. This is how the equipment harness gets delivered. I'm unfolding it here. It's all tied up, so it looks very, very small, but in fact it's a very large harness. Keeping it small here, I'm going to show you some parts of the harness that are going to match up with some landmarks on our actual cargo. The harness has a backside that it's like a harness. We call this the harness cross. See if you can get an idea of a cross right there. It also has a 4-point quick release on the front. It has an upper attachment point and a lower attachment point. These were parts of the harness that's going to match up on the cargo on what we call landmarks. These 4 landmarks are on the back of my equipment, is where the harness cross is going to go. In the center, pretty much, of the back side of my cargo. On the front side here of my cargo is where, in the center of that, is where my quick release is going to go, with my 4 straps attached. So the cross is on the back, and the quick release is in the front. In the transition here, between the top and the front of the cargo, is my 3rd landmark. That's where my upper attachment point is going to go, with my hooks that's going to go to my parachute system. On the bottom here, approximately in a window of 1/4 to, let me draw that better, to 1/3, is where the lower attachment strap's going to go. They come off to the side and attached to the side of the jumper. To repeat, my 4 landmarks is going to be the harness cross, is going to be in the center of the back of my cargo. The 4-point quick release is going to be in the center of the front of my cargo. And my upper attachment point is going to be placed in the transition between the front of the rucksack and the top of the rucksack. My lower attachment points are going to be placed in a window somewhere between 1/4 to 1/3 up the bottom of the rucksack. Alright, so just as an example, this is a training rucksack. It's just an A3 bag filled with some kitty litter and tarps maybe. 61-pound rucksack, but just to kind of describe what I'm talking about, our harness cross is in the back side of the rucksack. Our quick release 4-point is on the front side of it. We normally put the weight on it. It's a 61-pound rucksack. And the top upper attachment point is in the transition between the front and the top of the rucksack, so it's in a good placement. And if you look at the bottom here, it sits about 1/3 to 1/3 up in that area with the side attachment points. Just a more realistic example would be an Alice pack. This is packed, 40-pound Alice pack, upside down. Back side, we have the harness cross. Front side, your 4-point quick release, and in the transition between the front and the upper is where we have the upper attachment points. And same thing down here, the lower part of it, just up from the center about 1/3 to 1/4. We have the lower attachment points. It'd be easy to put maybe another med kit here or whatever tool we need up here, and that's going to probably bring this rucksack up to more of a like 60 pounds or so. It's a 40-pound rucksack right now, but more realistic example of how the equipment harness could easily be used on a standard Alice pack. Again, this video is not intended to be an instructional video. It's just an orientation of how to use the G-TEC equipment harness on cargo as your interface between your rucksack or your cargo and your parachute system. The equipment harness for, oops, there we go. Before, try to be serious. When we talk about the density, oh my God. Thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks for watching my video. Then down here, click and subscribe to my
subscribe. All my social media is down below.